Hi, my name is Emerson, and welcome to our discussion today about Young Men Incorporated. Joining me today is Reverend Malachi Walker, the founder and spiritual leader of this important youth organization. Reverend Walker, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Mr. Emerson?
Doing great, doing great.
Good.
Why am I? Why am I all about?
Why am I? Well, Why am I is an outreach ministry of the Great Commission Church of God. It's a ministry that the God has placed in my heart that I founded and started back in 1994. And the overall purpose to empower African American males and at-risk males mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And through it all, this sum it up that a lot of people will kind of look at it as a boot camp or look at it as a boot camp type of program, but it's not. It's a program that really reach out to our young men in the inner city and the surrounding, the Marion County area, and then teach them the right way to go. And when I say that, we are spiritual men that over years that we saw how our young males are falling through the cracks. They're dropping out of school at record numbers. They ended up in prison and ended up dead and selling drugs. And we just felt that it's time to really get our young men and take them under our wings and turn them around and put them back on the right track in society, so that one day they will be a benefit to society and not someone who's going out there selling drugs and doing things like that.
The highlight of the organization, you might say, is summer camp.
Oh, yes.
The YMI summer camp. Take us back. The first day of camp. What's going on? What's going on through the minds? And the first day. What are they doing on the first day of camp?
Well, first of all, there's a 4 months of recruiting, and the recruiting is very intensified. And I don't do a lot of advertisement. People hear about this program and by word of mouth, and then they're calling me. And what I do through the recruiting phase, first of all, is that based on funding, will let me know how many young men that I can take in through the summer. And we've just been blessed and fortunate. For 2009, we were able to bring in about 97 young men. But with the recruiting, we go into the home and I sit down with the parents. 90% of these young men are from single parent homes where the mother is the head of these families. And I like to sit down with them, and hopefully that there's some male figure in the home, but most of the time there's not. But when sitting down, what I do is just go into a series of questions and ask the young man, what he wants to do in life and where he see himself in 4 or 5 years, and does he want to graduate. And then once I do that, I give him a little spiel about the camp and what it entails. And then after that, and if mom says, yes, this is what I want, and then the young men agree to go, and then they fill out just an application and get a little information from them, and then they're in. But the camp, I tell you, is very intense. The first day of camp is probably what the young men would say is the most boringest day of the whole entire camp. The camp is a 9-week-long camp, but that first day coming in, it's very intense because there's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of getting the boys adjusted, get them set down, get them in position, issue resources and materials and things like that. Just get them adjusted and going over the rules and the guidelines of the summer empowerment camp. And that's why the boy thinks it's a boring day. But after that second day, things started heating up a little bit. Let me just go through just a little bit of what a day's like at the camp. We pick the boys up starting around 7:30 in the morning. We go to their homes and pick these young men up. And the reason for that is because a lot of our young kids, they say that they can't get involved or don't go to certain organizations and get in certain programs because they don't have transportation to get there. And so I looked into that and did a survey and found out that's the reason why a lot of them don't go to programs, because they don't have a way to get there. So my thing is the first thing was we going to go and pick these boys up. First of all, they need them. It's better going to pick them up and bring them in than then start going astray and running the streets during the summer with nothing to do and getting in trouble. So when we pick the boys up, we arrive at this camp at the church about 9 o'clock. We feed them a little light breakfast. About 9:20, we go in what we call our 30-minute devotion. And devotion, it's not a real spiritual type of devotion, but what we do is just take basic principles from the Bible. And these principles from the Bible is just very simple, like honor your mother and father. Your mother at home would tell them that. Their father would tell them, you're supposed to obey me, and we tell them the reason why. Or the Bible says that do unto others as you want others to do unto you, and we tell them why. That's as far as we go. We don't teach no doctrine. We're going to go into no religion and nothing like that. But we just take basic principles from the Bible and teach them. That's the 30-minute devotion. And then after that, take a little break, and then we get in for the speaker of the day. Now, the speaker of the day comes in, and he talks about basically what the whole week topic is. Mm-hmm. For an example, that week topic could be developing self-esteem, or how to resist peer pressure, and or drug awareness, or sexuality, whatever it is, the topic is that week. Our speaker comes in and talk about that. And these are speakers that come from the city, just an ordinary John Doe, that's want to get involved empowering youth, and he'll come in and or we can get from the professional field. They come in and do workshops or seminars based on what the topic is. Now here's the unique thing about it, is that when they come in, they get an hour and a half to do their whatever it is that they want to do. But the thing about it, they're only allowed to talk 20 minutes, and then the rest of the time they have to involve the young men involved, because we tend to seem to think that young people tend to hold and learn more from being actively involved in our lecture or workshop more than you just standing up there and falling asleep. I was a kid growing up, and I knew when the speaker come in, I fell asleep most of the time. So we want to keep our young men involved and keep them awake to learn, make sure they learn everything about what's going on. Then after that, we have our lunch, and then after lunch, there's an hour and 20-minute recreation, and at the church there and the recreation, there's tons of things that they can do. I mean, from playing basketball, or playing ping pong, foosball, air hockey, whatever it is that's recreational that get the young men to burn up energy, it's there. And then after that, we'll come back in. And when we come in, this is where it gets really intense, because the young men now are involved in a lot of role playing and interacting. And we'll recap whatever it is that the topic was and the speaker talked about that day. We'll recap and ask the boys questions and find out what they learned, getting involved in some role playing and allowing them to get up and do some interacting things and what they learned. And then the camp is a military-based type of camp that use a military style of discipline. The camp is very intensified, and it's very intense to the point where you can do something wrong, your punishment could be push-ups, or you lose points. We go by a point system. The boys are required to get 100 points a day or more, and they score under 80, they're not doing too well. They'd be set up with a counselor, with one of the counselors go into counseling and find out what's going on. But the military style is very effective, because we have them set up in squads, and we'll call the squad up, or we call everybody to fall in, and they have to fall in their squads. And when they get in, the squads get in attention, and there's a certain thing up on the ceiling or the wall they got to focus on, and we can stand there and focus on that one thing 15, 20, or maybe an hour. And they better not twitch, they better not move.
Speaking
and we jump on them.
And that's one of the reasons why we're having this discussion, is to let people understand that you're looking for, and I'm always looking for opportunities to help young men. And this is an awesome opportunity to help young men. And you went through a gamut of things. And for the folks that are listening to this, and that's one of the purposes of having this conversation.
Exactly.
Because you want more young men to be involved in this camp.
Absolutely.
And you want the parents to be involved. Let's go back to the educational component. What type of books are they reading at the camp?
Well, we have a very small library, and we have a different types of books that's age appropriate for the young men, because the ages of the young men are coming in at 9 to 17, and there's some 8 and a half. So we take some, we have some age appropriate books. On Tuesdays, there is a 30-minute reading period, and the boys will go and select their own books, whatever book they want, and they read. They have to read for 30 minutes, quiet time. Halfway through the camp, they're required to do a book report based on whatever book they have. And that book report, we give them rewards, and we have a first, second, and third place winner of the book report. It's definitely a requirement. And then there's another a book report due at the end of the camp, okay? But we have a book that we use, that what we call our learning book. And it's a very good book, and you probably know about it. It's the Tony Dungy's book, Uncommon.
Okay.
That is a very, very excellent book that teaches, it's designed really to empower boys, young men. And I come to find out Coach Dungy is really into empowering men. And he wrote this book to help boys to become empowered and be strong, and how to not get into negative activity, and how to become a strong, cohesive man in society. So that book is a hot topic. The young men love this book. And what we do once a week, the boys have to read a certain chapter, and when they read that chapter, and then during camp time, we'll take an hour and we'll talk about what Tony Dungy is talking about in that book. But the boys love the book. They get to take it home, but they have to bring it back, and we'll keep it. And we just got it this year in 2009, but we've only been through 4 chapters of it, so we'll be using it again in 2010.
What do you do with young men that they were sent basically by their parents, and they don't want to be there? Do you just keep them, or do you send them back to your parents?
Well, that's a good question, and it's very sensitive, because when I first started the program, doing my interview and doing the home visit to get the boys signed up, I let the parents know that getting in this camp is easy, and it's also easy to get kicked out of the camp based on their behavior.
Do you want to be here? If you want to be here, raise your hand. And go around and look at this. Don't raise your hand just because I'm telling you to. Put your hand back up. Don't be all so jumpy. But don't just raise your hand because I said that. You really want to be here? Everybody else put your hand down. Why do you want to be here? Stand up. Why do you want to be here? It's fun and there's action. Because you just heard me say that, right? You're going to learn something. Have a seat.
The camp is designed for some particular young men, and I can say that now because it's still that way. The summer empowerment camp is designed for those boys who feel that they don't want to fall down and go down the wrong road in life. They know in themselves that mom is not pleased with their behavior and some of the things they do at home, how how they're doing in school and things like that. And they realize that, hey, I'm going to give this camp a try, because I want to make my mother proud of me. I don't want to drop out of school. I don't want to join gang, and I don't want to be lost in peer pressure. So I'm going to join this camp so they can see if it can help me. And then most of the time when the young men get in there, when they go on, some of them mom push them in, and they get there, they don't want to be there. But after that first and second day, they find, oh, this is not bad. And they really like it because there's so many things, so much to do in the camp. There's ranks, you can move up, and a lot of things that they get, backpacks and uniforms and things like that. And the military style, you can get pins, based on their behavior and how they move up in rank. And that they just love it. They come back.
What type of field trips do you have? I know you have some type of field trips.
Yes. We try to go on a field trip once a week. And the field trips, majority of them are educational. And we go to museums, and not just in the state of Indiana. We go out of the state and go to museums, we go to do at least 2 college visits throughout the summer. And a lot of fun field trips, bowling, skating, swimming. These are all the fun things that the boys like to do, but a lot of educational types of things as well.
Push-ups. You mentioned push-ups. Drop and give me 50.
Yes. Oh, you know.
You use it for discipline?
Yes.
Okay.
Use it for discipline, but that concept of making them doing push-ups is very effective because they realize that, hey, I'm being punished for something, you know, and they know that they in this program and that there's rules, and if they don't do the push-ups, they get kicked out, and mom's not going to be too happy with them. And so to make them drop and do 10, 15, 20 based on what they've done or how many times they've been misbehaved throughout the day, they can get up to 30 push-ups. And then once they get up to 30 push-ups, we start taking points away. And then we take those points away, then that things is getting real serious. You know, they get called and speak to one of our younger counselors, and then if it persistence, you know, their behavior will continue on, and then they go to an adult counselor. But if it gets to me, most likely they're going to be ejected from the program, or they can get suspended for a day.
Okay, I love push-ups. Who's subject to push-ups? Everyone's
Everyone,
subject to push-ups?
even the counselors. Well, they try to get me to do push-ups, but even the counselors and you know, teenagers up 23, 24 years old, they can drop and do push-ups by one of the adult counselors to make them drop and do the push-ups, or just getting in their face, you know, and letting them know. You know, a lot of times we get in their face, and we're not smiling. There's a firmness, there's seriousness but it's tough love.
Huh? Do you want to go to jail? Well, you better watch your mouth up and through here. You will be going. Don't let me ever hear you say that again. We don't talk like that in here. So you learn to talk like you got some sense. We're not here to babysit. Keep your eyes on me. We're not here to babysit you. And we're not going to clean up behind you and nothing.
We let them know, hey, we're in your face because we don't want you to fall down the wrong track. We want you to get back and make the right decisions and choices in life. This is the reason why we're making you drop and do push-ups. This is the reason why I'm in your face. You need to straighten up and you get yourself together. Get back in that room and sit down on there, put your hands on top of the table and listen to the speaker and keep your eyes on them at all times. You tell them something like that, they know you're serious. You know, that's what kids like. They don't want adults talking to them, you know, real sweet and nice, you know, hey, if you do this, you're going to get it. No. They know you're serious and firm with them, then 9 times out of 10, they're going to go back and do the right thing or try to do the right thing.
In your past camps, what type of response are you getting from the parents as it pertains to discipline?
Oh, very, very overwhelming response. I mean, I get a waiting list every summer. I mean, they'll start calling, parents will call, and just like I said, based on funding, I only can take in so many boys, and then I have to stop. But when I stop my waiting list, I had a waiting list at 1 year up to about 50 boys. But the parents, they are just so happy. I mean, I just get parents who call me emotionally. And once I get done, I go on these interviews and I sit down and tell them what this camp is all about. And then when they get done, there's tears in their eyes. And I say, is this what your son would be involved in? They are just crying, yes. And they're just thanking God, you know, and just asking, you know, where have I been, you know, all these years? And majority of those boys that gets that emotional, get parents who gets real emotional like that, end up staying in and doing good. And parents come back, you know, and give testimonies, because we have an opening day during camp where we invite the whole family of the young men and the parents and whoever wants to come to a fellowship service day. And when they come, we give them an opportunity to give up and give a testimony of how Young Men Incorporated have touched their lives and made a difference in the lives of their sons. And I tell you, it's just overwhelming, some of the things they say.
Part of this conversation is about, and I'm speaking to the folks who listen to this DVD, is about funding. As Reverend has said, you know, he's only limited to a certain amount of students or kids because of funding. And that's what this conversation is about. It's about letting folks know that they can help this organization as we help these young folks. But they also need to know something else. It's a faith-based organization.
Absolutely.
Tell us more about that.
Well, faith-based, it's like I said, spirituality is involved in it, you know, because we're Christian men, and it's this program is a calling from God to me to really empower young men God's way. Because even before I got saved, before I got into Christ and became a minister, I still work with young people, but I didn't know Christ, and I did it my way. But once I found Christ, now I'm doing it the way Christ would have me to do it. That it's a faith-based. But the thing about faith-based, when it comes to funding, it can be very kind of shaky because see, a lot of organizations and corporations don't want to give to they call religious organizations. But the thing about it, this is not a really true religious organization. It's just Christian men reaching out to our young men and trying to turn them around. But we use just a spiritual foundation to build up on. Because like I said, we don't teach doctrine and things like that. Okay, so our funding still, because we're under the 501c3 of the church, so our funding still will be shaky because they still will see it as a religious organization because of their 501c3. But, you know, the funding is very crucial. And it's like you said, it's that the amount of young men that we reach out to in the city is based upon funding. Our budget last year was $90,000. And included in that, we were able to purchase a van. We were able to purchase and replace a lot of outdated and old recreational equipment. And it did a lot of things. Coming in 2010, our budget is set at about $61,000 because now all this recreational equipment is being replaced. We don't have to replace it again. So it lowered our budget. And here's the unique thing about the program is that we don't have a huge salary budget. None of my directors get paid. The only paid salary we have is we pay 8 young boys who grew up in that camp and became counselors. We give them a stipend every week of $110. And that goes to the 8. And then we have a administrative salary. And the administrative salary can run about $5,000 throughout the whole year. So if you're looking at for this year is going to be 9 counselors, about $9,900 to pay 9 counselors for the 9 weeks, and then $5,000 for administrative salary. You're looking under $15,000 for the whole year. Is what this program pays for salary, and that's it. I've been doing this for 2009 is my 15th year, going in 16 years. It's a calling.
Exactly.
You know, and I'm not looking for pay. I have a full-time job. I'm a full-time firefighter, and that's what I pay my bills with and feed my family on. But this ministry this is my heart and soul that I've had for our young men, and tired of seeing our young men getting caught up and dropping out of school and get involved in negative behaviors and falling dead. I'm sick and tired of that.
Success stories. Brandon Cole.
Yes.
Navy.
Yes, absolutely.
In your program, how many years before he went to the service?
Before he went to the service, he started in a program, he was 11 years old.
Okay.
And he graduated from high school, and he still served a couple years as a counselor, a paid counselor. I think he was 19 years old, 19 or 20. I think he was 20, and he went into the service. He's still in there now. That's Brandon Cole, and he's doing great. And when he comes home, he schedule his time. Now, listen to this. He scheduled his time to come home in the summer when the summer camp is going on, because he wants to come into the camp and give back to the boys and teach them some things that he's learning in the Navy right now. And he's what we call our physical fitness instructor. So during physical fitness time, he take the boys out jogging and singing cadence up the streets of Indianapolis, and We got 60 to 100 boys running the streets singing cadence all in line and doing chants and things. It's just outstanding seeing our young men do that. So Brandon Cole, he's very, most definitely a success story.
They learn camaraderie. They learn how to be brothers, help each other out. That's one of my biggest things. It's really just respect and discipline. Learning how to be a young man.
Crime in the streets. You take the youth out in the community, drive-by prayer. Tell us more about drive-by prayer and this youth involved in actually trying to stop crime in the community.
Yes, the drive-by prayer. Well, what I've done, many years, is that when there's a male who had been killed, the homicide that take place in the city, don't have to be a male, it can be a female as well. But most of the time, if there's a young person who has been killed to homicide, I get all the boys together and we'll go to the homicide site. If we can, the day it happened or the day after. And here's the two reasons for this. One, first of all, whenever there's a young person who's shot and killed, that it affects people a lot harder than if it's an adult. That community or that family has been affected by that loved one who's been shot and killed. They are hurting. And Christ said we are to go into the community, go into the nation and preach the gospel and touch those and comfort those who are hurting. And that's the whole purpose. Going in there into that community, first of all, is to comfort that family, and then that community is affected by it as well. And we pray for that community. When I get all the boys together, we'll go to that site and we'll kneel down and we'll pray for that family and pray for that community. And then the second thing is that with the boys there, a lot of times when a homicide takes place and someone is killed, family members and friends will put together a memorial and set it up, teddy bears and pictures and things of the victim, and taking the boys there and gathering them around and let them see this memorial. This is the site of a 16-year-old male who was shot and killed. And let them see, and I'll sit there for about 15 minutes and talk to the boys and say, look here, these types of activities that are taking place in our city can be prevented, most of them. You can prevent these types of things. First of all, making good choices and decisions in life, it could prevent a lot of our homicides. This young man didn't have to die, but he left behind a family that is hurting now, and we can gather around that family and comfort them and let them know that we're touching hurt, not just you, and we want to be there for you. And a lot of times these boys take it to heart and they can see it. And I tell them also, this can very well be you one day. If you don't go out there in those streets and if you don't make the good decisions and choices, stay in school, do the right things, and take heed from what we are teaching you right now and do it, then your life is spared. Because the Bible tells us that honor your mother and your days will be long. And when I go in and tell them, what do you mean by that? Well, honor your mother. When she tell you you be in the house by 10 o'clock, then you be there at 10 o'clock. If you stay out after 10 o'clock and you are roaming the street and get caught up and then something happened to you, you getting shot and killed, the Bible said honor your mother and father and your days will be long. Okay? But those are very touching, and well, that's one of the things that we'll continue to do is reach out to the community.
That's one of the things we want to avoid, and that's why it's important for the folks to listen to this program today and listen to what we have to say. Our discussion is about saving these young people.
Absolutely.
Now, and we want money.
Yes.
You need money.
Absolutely.
We'll just put it up just like it is. Sometimes parents can't afford to send their young ones to the camp, but they need to be in that camp because they don't need to be in the streets and getting for so they can donate money to the
Yes.
organization in kind.
In kind, our corporation could, our business, our individual could donate money. We are tax deductible. We're a 501c3 under the church, tax deductible. One thing I want you to know also is that there is a small fee for these young men coming in.
Well, if they can't afford it.
They can't afford it, that's where we're out there. Now, here's what the fee is, though. The fee is only $50.
Okay.
We figure for the whole 9 months, 9 weeks of them coming to camp, transportation, the food, field trips, entry fees, and all this, and uniforms, to equip one young man with uniform and all that they are getting out of the camp runs about $960 per child. But all they have to pay is $50. And what reason why we do that is because a lot of these young men, like you said, can't afford it. Majority of them can't. They can't afford the $50. Mm-hmm. A lot of these young men come from public housing communities where the parents don't receive any income. But still, we have to reach out for them. Mm-hmm. And every donation that comes in, every money that comes in goes straight to these boys for uniforms, for the field trips we go on, and maintaining vans. When we're looking to try to buy another van this year in 2010. If we buy another van, that make us own 3 vans, and we still have to go out and lease 2 vans. Mm-hmm. To lease 2 vans for the 9 weeks of summer camp costs us $8,900 to lease just 2 vans for the 9 weeks of the summer. So we're trying to cut that cost down by owning our own vans. And so any businesses out there and dealerships or anyone, we're looking, if you want to support and give to this ministry, we can get these young boys off the street and keep it in something positive. Donate us a van. If you want to donate 2, give us 2 vans. I have strong, trustworthy men who volunteer to drive these vans every morning, going to pick these boys up, take them to the campsites, going on field trips, and they do it voluntarily. Donate a van. That'll take our budget down even more. We got to feed the boys. We have 5 cooks that come in every day, prepare the breakfast and prepare the lunch, and they do it free of charge. They do not get paid.
$50 is not a lot of money to save a life.
Oh my!
$50 is not a lot of money. So the organizations are listening, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about saving a life of a young person through YMI. That's
Yes.
an awesome camp.
Yes.
And we want to keep the camp strong. So we need your help. Basically, we're saying we need the help of the community to keep this camp alive, and that's what we're talking about.
That's it.
Keeping it alive. So it's an awesome opportunity
Yes.
to get young folks out of harm's way. Anything you like to add? Anything else you want to add?
Well, one last thing is that there's 2 other phases for the summer camp. When the summer empowerment camp is over with, we just started this year. Each young man, based on requests from parents, or if we see that the young men need further counseling or further mentoring, after the camp is over with, the young men would be matched up with a male mentor. And this male mentor, this is phase 2 of Young Men Inc. The male mentor during the school days, that the mentor will call this young man up at least once a week. Hopefully they can call him up twice a week. Hopefully that twice a month they will pick the young man up, take him out to a ball game, take him football game, basketball game, take him somewhere, and just be there in his life, and to let the young man, if there's any problems going on in your life, if there's any things that you having trouble with, if you're struggling in school and things like that, that mentor is there to help guide and keep this young man back on the right track. And this is, and we're really looking into that now. What I'm doing now, and in the process of getting background checks for all our mentors, and so that we can make sure that we get the right men involved in these young people's lives. But the mentoring phase is getting ready to start within the next month. So that's phase 2. And then phase 3 is what we call a round table discussion, where once every 2 months we get to call the young man up and invite him to come in for a round table discussion. What we do, we get many as we can to church, and we'll put them in a circle, and we have men there and speakers there, and just allow the young guys to just talk what they want to talk. Man-to-man talk. Just spill it out. Whatever it is you want to talk about. School, sex, peer pressure, how to resolve conflict, no matter what it is. Let's talk. And those discussions get real deep, and but it really helps them, because the boys feel that, hey, we're getting into their lives and we really care about them. So that's phase 3. And then sometimes we go on a field trip. It's like the coach just donated 25 tickets for me I can take 25 young men on December the 6th to the Colts game.
Okay.
And a lot of the young boys going that never been to a Colts game, don't know what it's like to go in. They've never been in Lucas Oil Stadium. This is going to be neat. I just can't wait to see the smiles on these young kids' face when they go in and see this big stadium and they get close up on or watch a professional football game. So these are the things we're looking forward to, and these are the things. So again, your donation into this program, I tell you, we can save a lot of young men from destruction just by your support, from donation and also your prayers.
Get to them while you got them.
Absolutely.
What number could they call?
They can call 2 numbers. They can reach me personally, my cell phone number at area code 317-437-7937, or they can call the church. Church number is area code 317-923-7690.
We also have information you can contact here on this DVD, because it's all about staying in contact with Reverend Malachi and Young Men Incorporated, because I think it's an awesome opportunity for you to help a young person stay out of harm's way. Thank you for your time, Reverend.
Thank you, Mr. Emerson.
And this is this is a wrap. We've talked about YMI. Now do your part. Send in some money. Thank you.